What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy Sunday night, everybody. Okay, so I haven't been reporting on what's been going on at Contact in the Desert, really, because what I was waiting for was the presentations from Dr. Diane Hennecy Powell. She was already in a presentation last Saturday. Jesse Michaels was there. Paul Smith was there too. And they talked about psi phenomena in general, but the real presentation from Dr. Powell happened on Sunday, and that was like the most important one of the entire conference, in my opinion. And there were some really good ones. I mean, there was Dr. John Blitch talking to Ross Coulthard. They revealed some really startling stuff about the abduction phenomenon. But Dr. Powell was bringing two spellers, meaning two nonverbal autistic children, to do a live presentation with voluntaries. So a couple of my friends who attended the presentation did record some stuff, and they were really surprised and floored by what they saw. One of them even told me that they still can't believe that this is what they witnessed. I'm going to show you a video from my friend Asa Rocky. He goes like that on X. He's a good friend of mine. He's very familiar with the psi phenomena aspect of them all, of this all, and he's been even talking a little bit with Dr. Powell about his own experiences. And he attended Contact in the Desert, and he recorded part of the presentation, and I'm going to show it to you guys.
So there's a lot of math here because we've got a random image and a random color. Now I'm going to hold this up to the crowd, and then I'm going to hold it.
Right here, the man who's right behind Dr. Powell is Chris Ramsey. Well, as you guys know, he's a very famous magician. He has a really cool channel called Area 52, and he's very into the psi phenomena. So he's been there. He was there to check that everything went well, that there was no foul play or anything. Everybody was there to check on that because that's what we want. We want the most reliable tests possible. And although this was like a live presentation and it's not a controlled kind of test, I still think that they did a good job. There was some good feedback from the attendees that I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about. But let's continue watching this.
Hold it up to the stage. So this is the image that she selected with this color. So
you can see the nonverbal autistic kid right there. She has blindfolds, and she's about to spell what she can't see, apparently.
You ready? So he just held the color up. Can you spell the color? Can you spell the color that he just held up? Normally I take alert, but she does her demonstration. I can't touch her, so that's it. B L U E. So she got the color. So hold the shape up. Can you tell me the shape was? C I R C L E.
leader. Fabulous.
So that was the live presentation. And another aspect that they told me that happened is that they were, out of the people who were volunteering to participate, there was this moment when they were writing movie names, and they had to write the movie, spell the movie that they had. One of the people that wrote a movie name wrote the name of the movie Forrest Gump. And one of the spellers, instead of spelling Forrest Gump, they spelled life is like a box of chocolates. So that's kind of showing off, if you ask me. But yeah, that happened. And there have been a lot of reactions to this that I do want to talk about, because I do have some news. I have a scoop, so to speak, that I am very pleased to make a connection to one of the main cases that I've been following in this channel, and one of the main reasons why I did this channel. I'm going to show you a piece of video where Dr. Diane Hennecy Powell does acknowledge that some of the skills that these kids present might not be telepathy. It might be that they just have really, really good senses, the other senses, and they use those other senses to do what appears to be telepathy. And in this clip that I'm going to show you, she's speaking to people who have been debunking the telepathy tapes. And she acknowledges that, yeah, that could be the case, that they're using their other senses, and this is not really telepathy. But what she says is that she hopes that she can perform the tests with these spellers having noise canceling headphones, so they can't hear what is happening. And I'm going to show it to you guys right now. So here's Dr. Powell talking about this.
They could be like other animal species that we know see and hear outside of the usual range of visibility and and hearing of most of us. And that and it's getting labeled mind reading, but it actually is just that, and that takes it out of the woo, and it's still extraordinary.
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
But it takes it out of the woo, and so one of the things I want to do is see whether or not putting noise cancellation earphones on the kid blocks out because if I can't get them in separate rooms, there are other ways in which you can minimize these sorts of things. And so if it turns out that the noise cancellation headphones make it so that they can't read the thoughts, but then they can when they take them off, then it's like, it's not a conscious thing. See, when the person is reading silently, they're not they're not conscious. Most people aren't aware of the fact that there's actually some vocal cord activity that's going on, and so it's what makes a lot of sense to me. Because then it's how these people that I really think are quite genuine and sincere in their conclusion that the child is reading their mind, and they're really not trying to scam anybody. That's really what's going on, or if the child, if it's a visual image, and the child is seeing the answer, maybe they're just, they're very good pattern thinkers, and maybe they're just able to connect the dots, that are the biophotons that are being emitted by somebody, because most of them report seeing auras, and what is an aura? It's light around somebody. And Haley, when she was asked by the therapist, how did you know the answer there? She said, well, I see the numerators and denominators in your mind. Well, what's she need by mind? Maybe the mind to her is this, this light emission.
Yeah, so this is the challenge. This is what Dr. Powell a few months ago wanted to do with the kids. She wanted, I don't know why she said that they couldn't put them in separate rooms, but getting them in noise canceling headphones would be the next best thing after putting them in separate rooms, because ideally that's the best possible test that you can run. The most rigorous is to separate the father and or the parent and the kid, so they can run the test and perform them. But if that doesn't happen, it can be through noise canceling headphones, so you can get rid of that potential way in which these kids are doing this, through hearing very well some of this vocal activity that Dr. Powell mentions. But I'm going to show you right now one of these tests that is one of the oldest ones from Akhil. Akhil actually just, it was just his birthday. So happy birthday, Akhil. It was like last week or something. So happy birthday. There's a really beautiful birthday song that they sang to him, and he was really excited about it. It's on the Telepathy Tapes Instagram account. I'm going to link to you in the description so you can see it. But this test is performed by Akhil, and this is essentially what they have been doing in a not so rigorous environment. It's a random word generator test, and this is directly from the Telepathy Tapes YouTube channel, so you guys can check it out. This is just a 43-second video, but I am going to show it to you.
Focus. Okay, random number generate, word generate, go for it.
P A T T E Pat.
Good. She showed up to me, Akhil. Manisha, hold on. Let me zoom in and get focused here. Stand by. Good.
Okay.
Good.
Nice. Look at Akhil's
Okay,
Akhil's face. Like, can you give me something tougher, please? Like, that was easy. I love that. But yeah, that's essentially the test that is like not as rigorous, and debunkers and skeptics can easily say that parents are in on it or whatever reason they can find, right? So the reason I'm telling you this, and the reason I showed Dr. Powell saying that she couldn't get them in different rooms and that she wanted them to get noise canceling headphones, is because I am told that about 10 days ago or a little more, there was this announcement that Ky Dickens is now recording the documentary of the Telepathy Tapes on the Institute of Noetic Sciences. And the director of that institute is Dr. Dean Radin, who appears here with Ky Dickens as they are recording the documentary right now. This is another photo of the recordings and the production. Here's the photo that they showed on the official Telepathy Tapes accounts. On the left, there's Ky Dickens, and there's her film crew, and this is the test being performed at Eons. And what I want to show you guys is that this experiment has already been performed in the toughest possible situation. What I hear is that they already may have proved the telepathy with the toughest controls possible stateside from a different room. So this is what Dr. Powell alluded to being the toughest possible test. And according to what I'm told, they already did it. I was not able to get a direct quote from Ky as of this moment, but I will get one from her eventually, so she can give us a little more details into what this test was like. But I want to show you, and this is very familiar to me because Dr. Jacobo Grinberg did perform this experiment. And this is the experiment that he wanted to complete, which wasn't completed because he disappeared when he was about to leave to India to perform the experiment. The experiment is called the transferred potential, and it comes from this paper. So I'm going to show it to you guys so you can take a look. The paper is called the Einstein-Podolski-Rosen Paradox in the Brain, the Transferred Potential, written by Dr. Grinberg, Manuel de la Flor, Leah Ati, and Dr. Amit Goswami. And the abstract goes, Einstein-Podolski-Rosen, EPR, correlations between human brains are studied to verify if the brain has a microscopic quantum component. Pairs of subjects were allowed to interact and were then separated inside semi-silent Faraday chambers, 14.5 meters apart when their EEG activity was registered. Only one subject of each pair was stimulated by 100 flashes. When the stimulated subject showed distinct evoked potentials, the non-stimulated subject showed transferred potentials, similar to those evoked in the stimulated subject. Control subjects showed no such transferred potentials. The transfer potentials demonstrate brain-to-brain non-local EPR correlation between brains, supporting the brain's quantum nature at the macro level. So this experiment, and I'm going to show you how Dr. Grinberg explains it. And this is a tweet that I just posted. I want to thank Gonzalo Chavez for the translation of this clip that I think it's essential in order to understand this properly and to understand what Ky Dickens has been doing, because this is essentially the experiment. It is more advanced what Ky Dickens is doing, because Grinberg was doing it between people who presumably don't have these abilities so developed as the non-speaker autistics. And he was being successful at replicating this between just regular humans who speak and everything. But this is how he explained it. And this is my tweet. Given what people at the Contact in the Desert conference witnessed today with Dr. Diane Hennecy and the Spellers, it's a perfect time to show people the one experiment that will inevitably prove what these kids can do. It comes from Dr. Jacobo Grinberg. And it's safe to say that this might be the reason he disappeared. He named it the transfer potential experiment. There is even a scientific paper he wrote that remains unfinished because the last part of the experiment wasn't completed when he went missing. To this day, Jacobo's whereabouts remain unknown. He would be very pleased with the efforts made by Dr. Powell and Ky Dickens with the telepathy tapes. Another excellent translation by my brother Gonzalo Chavez, linked to the paper titled The Einstein-Podolski-Rosen Paradox in the Brain, the Transferred Potential. And this is what Jacobo said.
Well, the experiment aimed to see if there were direct brain-to-brain interactions, as you mentioned, without using words, movements, or sounds. So we built a chamber. This is a chamber that blocks outside sound, a chamber also visually opaque. We worked in total darkness and electromagnetic isolation, blocking electromagnetic waves. In this chamber, we invited pairs, always working with pairs, to sit comfortably, close their eyes, not talk, not touch. And in this absence of stimulation, only the presence of each other existed. Sooner or later, these two people began to feel this, the presence of each other, until a moment came when most felt they were in direct contact. It's a bit hard to define what direct contact would be. They sensed each other without needing language. At that moment, one was invited to another chamber, also pre-built, with the same features, isolated, buffered, and electromagnetically shielded like the first. Importantly, there was no way for electromagnetic waves to pass between chambers, at least certain frequencies. In this setup, we invited them to communication to keep sensing each other's presence. The one in the original chamber was stimulated with flashes, and their response was, we call an evoked potential. An evoked potential is the cortex's response to a stimulus. It's a well-known response. We also recorded the brain activity of the other person who wasn't aware their partner was being stimulated. We observed that when an evoked potential appeared in the stimulated person, a potential also appeared in the other person, synchronous with the stimulus. We call this a transfer potential or transfer potential. It indicates one brain established direct contact with the other. What happened to the first brain affected the second without involving consciousness, at least in our subjects. When asked, those with transferred potential, did you feel something? Did you know what happened to your partner? They said, well, I think something happened, but I'm not sure. No need for be conscious for it to occur, for the brain to register it. Now, what consequences? What vast, because it shows brain activity isn't limited to the skull or brain structure, but transcends it. This can be explained in many ways. As Professor Delgado said, the key in the brain is interneuronal interactions, gives intelligence, cognitive ability, etc. It can be assumed that interactions between neurons create fields, and these fields, which we call neuronal fields, may not be limited by brain structure, but affect space and enable brain-to-brain transmission. This indicates we're interacting all the time without knowing it. Among us, there are interactions. Just as there's a network of interneuronal interactions, we can assume a network of interbrain interactions. This suggests the possibility of an organism arising from these interbrain interactions. An organism, what does an organism mean? A level of activity that transcends us, of which we're a part and likely affects us. And we're affecting what could be the basis of the new physiology of planetary consciousness, a state of consciousness that includes us, that we feed, and that affects us. This network of interbrain interactions, as the experiment shows, affects our brain activity, so we're receiving information from it. I call it the hyperfield, just to name it.
Hyperfield, just to name it. So essentially, this is the experiment that they need to do in order to prove completely that these kids are performing some type of telepathy or ESP, or I don't know if it should be called telepathy. Dr. Powell did say that she compared to animals and their capabilities to see the entire spectrum or other parts of the spectrum compared to humans. And I've been talking about this correlation between whatever we can do and whatever experiencers can do when they start having these experiences and near-death experiences and all that, that they can see other things that they couldn't see before because their field of vision in the super spectrum, that is a concept from John Keel's The Eighth Tower, the field enlarges and they can now see other things that are always there, but they couldn't see before. I think that there is something to that with these kids, that they can see in ways that we can't. And that's all there is to it. And yeah, it should, the woo should be taken away from it. The word itself is kind of like a derogatory term, in my opinion, because it is part of our biology and it is parts of our perception that are being rediscovered as we speak. And I think that this is what's happening. And what I was told is that, yeah, they already did these experiments with kids separate in separate rooms, and the experiment was successful under the strictest of environments stateside. So this is great news. I can't wait to see an update properly from Ky Dickens. But there's a lot going on right now. She's traveling to different places with some of the non-speakers and still ongoing with the film production. So we won't be seeing the film this summer, but right after the summer, I think we are going to be having some updates on it. But for now, you get that. This information that I just brought to you comes from the best source possible. And yeah, they already did these experiments and they were successful. So whoever is using this debunk to talk about the tapes being fake or not being real, just gotta tell you, they apparently proved it. I don't know if it was at Eons. It's possible that that's where it all happened because they do have all the equipment and everything. And if somebody was going to do this who is not Jacobo, because Jacobo was the first one to do it, according to what I just showed you, it would be Dr. Dean Radin and it would be Dr. Diane Powell. So they're the ones. So let me know what you think in the comments about these presentations, about what happened at Contact in the Desert, about the update that I just gave you, and about Dr. Grinberg's transfer potential experiment, which is essentially what the telepathy tapes are doing to prove that this is completely real. Let me know. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can get notified when new video drops. It only costs you a few seconds, doesn't cost you anything else. And it is what helps us the most. So if you only do that, that's more than enough. Thank you. But if you want to support us in any other way, I'm going to leave you a few links in the description. You can also become a member, or you can also support us on the KGRA website. Anything you choose to do is always appreciated. So thank you. That's it for me today on this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, stay curious and inquisitive always. Bye.